The millionaire falls for a solitary black woman at the party that changed everything. The chandeliers overhead sparkled like diamonds, casting shimmering reflections on the polished marble floors of the hotel's grand ballroom. Lucas, draped in a tailored navy suit, felt utterly out of place amidst the sea of silk gowns and tailored tuxedos. The laughter around him rang hollow, the clinking of champagne glasses like a haunting melody, a reminder of the opulence that suffocated him. Every smile he encountered felt scripted, practiced, as if everyone at this gala was playing a part in a grand production. Yet here he was, a millionaire, feeling like a ghost wandering through a gallery of high society. But then, his gaze caught her, Clara, standing alone near a potted palm, her striking features and deep brown eyes pierced through the chaos. She wore a simple white dress that contrasted sharply with the extravagant attire around her, yet she radiated a unique strength mixed with tea. Her eyes flickered with a hint of sadness, shadows lurking just beneath the surface. Lucas felt an unexplainable pull toward her, an urge to shield her from the harshness that surrounded them. A societal good old boys club that whispered disapprovingly about anyone who dared to step outside the lines drawn by wealth and privilege. "Are you enjoying the party?" he asked, trying to break the icy barrier that separated them. Her smile was tentative, but beneath it, he caught glimmers of mischief and mystery. "Not really," she confessed, her voice soft but steady. "Too much glitz, not enough soul." That echoed in Lucas's heart. He felt their connection deepening, yet he couldn't ignore the disapproving glances of his friends across the room, their eyebrows raised in disbelief as if he was courting madness. The whispers were like a looming storm, threatening to drown out the sweet melody of their budding rapport. But he didn't care. This was different. Clara had layers. She dread. As their conversation flowed, a shocking revelation fractured the moment. Clara's backstory unraveled in hesitant whispers. Rejection from her family, a struggle against a world that had often belittled her. Each word struck Lucas like a punch to the gut, revealing fears and secrets he hadn't foreseen. They shared wounds, ghosts that haunted them both. Lucas could feel destiny tightening around them, a thrilling but terrifying grip as he considered stepping away from the expectations of his world. Could he really confront the vast divides that separated them? A small voice inside him dared to hope. Just then, a shocking truth emerged, sending waves of uncertainty crashing down. Clara was somehow linked to a family secret. His family secret. Suddenly, everything felt heavier than ever. Would the unearthing of their intertwined pasts tear them apart before they could even begin? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many sub. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you are still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, leave that powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, from which city are you watching this? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. As Clara spoke, the words hung between them like a fragile thread, barely holding the weight of their shared truths. Lucas's mind raced. Every revelation felt like a brick being added to his chest. He wanted to reach out, to comfort her, but something deep inside asked if he was ready to navigate this emotional labyrinth. Just as he opened his mouth to say something, the ballroom doors burst open, and a commotion rippled through the crowd like a shockwave. Everyone turned in unison, eyes wide with curiosity and dread. Lucas felt the air thicken, a chill creeping up his spine. A man in an ill-fitting suit, wild-eyed and panting, stumbled into the room. His voice was frantic, drowning out the music. "Stop! You need to hear this! It's about the Collins family!" The clinking glasses ceased. The laughter faded. All that filled the room was this stranger's dire tone echoing against the grand walls. Lucas felt time slow down, every heartbeat loud in his ears as he instinctively reached for Clara's hand, squeezing tightly. "What do you mean?" someone called out. "That portrait," the man gasped, pointing a trembling finger toward a massive painting of Lucas's great-grandfather looming over the gathering. "It holds a secret." Lucas's heart raced. A secret? A part of him wanted to dismiss the man as a drunk, but the urgency in his eyes held something gripping. Clara stiffened beside him, her expression shifting from intrigue to fear. "What kind of secret?" she whispered, glancing at Lucas. "About your mother, about your father. They—" Suddenly, a loud crash interrupted, a severe sound that cut through the tension. A chandelier, heavy and ornate, tumbled down from the ceiling, crashing just feet away from them, scattering shards like stars across the marble floor. People screamed, a wave of panic surging through the crowd. Lucas instinctively pulled Clara closer, shielding her as chaos erupted. In the chaos, he caught a glimpse of someone, the stranger from moments before, disappearing into the shadows at the edge of the ballroom. But if this man knew something about Clara, why was he running? "Clara!" Lucas shouted above the cacophony, his voice thick with panic. "We need to get out of here!" As they navigated through the crowd, the fragments of glass glimmered menacingly, a sharp reminder of the unexpected dangers awaiting them. Clara's eyes widened, reflection of fear and uncertainty. "Lucas, what does this mean? My mother? I don't know, but we need to find out," he urged, heart pounding. But deep down, he felt the ground shift beneath him. What had he stumbled into? Finally outside, the cool night air hit them like a wave. Clara pulled away slightly, breathing heavily, disbelief etched on her face. "What was that about my family?" she asked, searching his eyes for answers he didn't have. Suddenly a voice emerged from the shadows behind them. "You're closer to the truth than you realize, Clara. The Collins aren't who you think they are, and neither are you." Lucas turned, heart racing anew, but all he could see was darkness. The night held too many secrets, and as they stood there, confusion swirling around them, one question loomed large. What did the past hold for them both? Lucas's heart thundered as he turned towards the voice. The darkness unfurled like an ominous cloak, hiding the speaker, but he felt Clara's grip tighten, her pulse racing just like his. "Who are you?" Lucas demanded, his voice steady, despite the chaos in his chest. The shadow shifted. Then a figure took a hesitant step into the faint light, and Lucas's breath hitched. It was Aiden, Clara's estranged brother, lost to the family years ago. Rumors of drugs and crime swirling around him like a storm. The sight of him stirred a tempest of emotions in Clara's eyes, a mix of anger, sorrow, and disbelief. "Clara," Aiden's voice cracked, the weight of unspoken truths hanging in the air. "I was looking for you. They don't want you to know, but you have to listen. They've kept you from the truth." "What truth?" Clara snapped, voice sharp and defensive. Lucas could see the tremor in her hands, fear settling in like a heavy fog. "They? What do you even know? Your mother. She's in danger," Aiden blurted out, desperation lacing his words. The ballroom, still echoing with panic, faded into the background for Lucas. This was too much. Secrets were piling up faster than he could sort them. "Danger?" Lucas echoed, alarm flaring anew. "What are you talking about?" "Listen to me." Aiden took a step forward, hands raised in surrender. "There are people who will stop at nothing to keep the truth buried. Your family, Lucas, they're involved in something dark. They're not who you think. Not just about money, but something worse, something sinister. The air crackled with tension. Clara stepped back, eyes wide with disbelief. My family? What do you mean? There's a reason your mother left, Clara. A reason she disappeared. It's tied to the Collins, Aiden said, voice barely a whisper, but it struck like thunder. A secret that can destroy everything. The room buzzed with whispers as guests, still shaky from the chandelier's fall, began to circle around, eyes glued to the unfolding drama. The tension was palpable, suspicion painting the faces of those who had once lingered in their perfect bubbles of wealth and serenity. Stop! Lucas shouted, a surge of authority crashing over his fear. Enough with the games! What secret? Aiden opened his mouth, fire and fear flickering behind his eyes, when suddenly Clara began to shake. No, no. Her face twisted into an unfamiliar mask of horror. She gestured sharply at Lucas. Why are you involved in this? This doesn't concern you. Lucas felt a stab of hurt. It does if I care about you. But the moment felt fragile, a delicate balance. Then Aiden seized the moment. You need to know before it's too late, Clara. They're coming for you. For all of us. The Collins family, their roots go deeper than you realize. More blood ties than you've ever been told. At that, a fresh wave of panic surged in Lucas, excitement and dread intertwining. The weight of the truth pressed down on him. Could it be true? Did Clara really belong to a world intertwined with his family's shadow? Before Aiden could respond, a loud crash reverberated into the ballroom, and all eyes turned to the entrance. The tall double doors burst open again. Two masked figures stormed in, their movements swift and deliberate, as if appearing out of thin air. Cloaked in darkness, gasps filled the room. Clara froze, her breath caught in her throat. Lucas felt his heart rate spike dangerously, primal fear clawing its way up from his gut. Who were these intruders? And what did they want? But what happened next would shake everything. One of the masked figures pulled down their mask, revealing a familiar face. Lucas's cousin, torn between fury and sorrow. Lucas, you need to come with us. It's about your mother. Lucas felt the ground beneath him shift, world tilting. Family ties tangled like a web, pulling him closer to the center of a storm he never knew existed. Chaos erupted, questions swirled, and in that moment of peril, one thought pierced through everything. What if everything he thought he knew was a lie? Lucas! Clara's voice broke through the noise. Panic etched across her face, grounding him momentarily. What is happening? As the world spiraled further into chaos, he realized their lives were entwined in ways they never fathomed. The past loomed large, and answers remained just out of reach. The truth was a dark light, drawing closer, threatening to consume them both. And only then did he understand. They needed to face the shadows together or lose everything. As Lucas stood there, heart pounding, he felt the air grow thick with uncertainty. The masked figures loomed, their intentions unreadable. Clara's grip tightened around his arm, her eyes wide with shock and fear. Who are they? What do they want? Stay back, Lucas shouted as the figures advanced, glancing towards Clara. He could feel her fear boiling over. The crowd was beginning to murmur, whispers circling around them like a storm. Lucas, Aiden's voice broke through the thick tension. They're here for a reason. You need to listen to me. But before anyone could speak further, the first masked figure lunged forward, ripping off their mask in a swift motion. Lucas squinted as the light caught the face. It was someone he recognized, someone he never expected to see. It was Melissa, an old friend from his childhood, her eyes wild with desperation and fear. Lucas, you have to trust me. Her voice was frantic, and she looked at Clara with fear dancing in her eyes. You're in danger, both of you. What are you talking about? Lucas felt the knot in his stomach tighten. It was like dominoes falling, everything crumbling before him. "Don't come any closer." Melissa stepped back, raising her hands in a gesture of peace. "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm trying to help." "Help?" Clara repeated, her voice laced with disbelief. "Help with what?" Suddenly, the other masked figure moved swiftly, throwing something towards Clara and Lucas. A flash of light erupted, blinding them momentarily. "Get down!" Lucas shouted, instinctively pulling Clara close. The explosion lit the ballroom, sending shards of light in every direction. It wasn't a bomb, just a smoke grenade, but chaos erupted, panic flooding the room as the guests screamed and scrambled for the exits. Through the haze, Lucas squinted and saw Melissa rushing forward. "We have to go, now!" "Why?" Clara yelled, confusion mixing with fear. "Because it's not about who you think it is. It goes deeper. So deep that—" But before Melissa could finish, a brutish shadow appeared behind her. It was Aiden, eyes wide, fists clenched. "You shouldn't have come back, Melissa." "What are you talking about?" Lucas demanded, heart racing. "What's happening here?" The air crackled with tension as Aiden glanced at Clara, then back at Melissa. "You don't know. She's not who you think she is." "What does that mean?" Clara's voice trembled, confusion breaking through her fear. But that was when the unexpected twist shattered everything. "I'm your sister," Melissa shouted, her voice ringing clear amidst the cacophony. "Clarissa Collins, your sister." Silence fell for a heartbeat. The words hung like a stone in the air. Lucas's heart sank. Clara stood frozen, eyes wide with disbelief. "What?" Clara whispered, the world tilting around her. "It's true. The family lied to you. They lied to us both." "No, that can't be." Clara's voice was barely a whisper, her face pale. The crowd continued to scream, chaos all around, but Lucas felt every other sound fade away. His mind whirled. How could this be true? Everything he thought he knew was collapsing. "Lucas, Clara, we have to go, now!" Melissa shouted, urgency thrumming through her voice. But Clara stood rooted, shock written all over her face like a map of disbelief. "Stay away from her," Aiden growled, stepping protectively in front of Clara. The moment hung in the air, like a heavy mist, thick with confusion, secrets, and danger. Everything felt fragile, teetering on the edge. "Who do I trust?" Clara finally said, her voice breaking through, uncertainty flooding her eyes. At that moment, emotions coiled tightly in Lucas's chest. The truth, whatever it was, could tear them all apart. As the panic surged again, he knew they had to move or risk losing everything. But as he took a step towards Clara, everything shifted. Shadows flickered in the smoke, causing his heart to race again. For in the chaos, the last thing Lucas saw was Aiden's expression, one of dread, conflict, and something darker. The truth was just beginning to reveal itself, and Lucas couldn't shake the feeling that everything from this moment on was about to change, forever. As the chaos swirled around them, Lucas's mind raced with uncertainty. He stood before Clara, the air heavy with hidden truths and fear. "Clara, listen to me," he urged, the thunder of his heart drowning out the screams and shouts from the ballroom. "We need to go." But Clara couldn't move. She was frozen, caught in the web of revelations and panic. Aiden's warning hung in the air like a storm cloud, but Melissa's admission shook the ground beneath them. "Sister?" she whispered, the word echoing in the depths of her disbelief. "Yes, Clara," Melissa shouted, desperation lining her voice. "Your mother is in danger, and I'm the only one who can help you understand why." "No." Aiden's voice boomed, rage bubbling to the surface. "You've lied to her before. You're not trustworthy." In that moment, a loud explosion rattled the very foundation of the hotel. The overhead lights flickered violently, and the ground shuddered like it was alive. Cries echoed, drowning them in a torrent of confusion. Lucas instinctively pulled Clara behind him, shielding her from the chaos erupting around them. The smoke from the grenades thickened, swirling like a dark storm in the ballroom, catching at throat and eyes. "Let's move," Melissa shouted again, but the way she looked back at Aiden suggested a deep-seated fear that rooted them all. "Stay back," Aiden yelled, stepping forward defensively. The both of them stood off like two soldiers on opposite sides of a battlefield. Clara's bewilderment gave way to anger. People are in danger, and we're standing here arguing? Then came a connection so jarring it sent ripples of shock throughout the crowd. From the smoky haze, another figure emerged. A woman wearing a dark coat, her face hidden under a wide-brimmed hat. The crowd parted like the Red Sea as she stepped forward, her gait steady and intense. "Enough!" Her voice sliced through the chaos. The room fell silent, the only sound the heavy ticking of the grand clock near the entrance. Lucas's eyes widened. There was something eerily familiar about her. "Who are you?" he demanded, instinctively guarding Clara from whatever this was. She lifted her chin, and the dim light caught her features. Lucas's chest tightened as recognition washed over him. "Mom?" A collective gasp spread through the ballroom like wildfire. Clara's eyes darted between Lucas and the woman, confusion and heartbreak tangled in her expression. "Your mother?" "Yes," Lucas replied, stunned. "But how? You left." "I had no choice," the woman's voice cracked, laced with anguish. "I've been trying to protect you. All of you." Melissa took a hesitant step closer, her face mimicking Clara's disbelief. "But why didn't you tell us, Mom?" "I had to keep you safe from the Collins," she exclaimed, desperation radiating from her. "The family's dark past. They want you both for what you possess, what they can never have." Aiden's fists clenched, his face taut with anger. "You don't get to come back now. You abandoned us. Silence." She roared, panic giving way to ferocity, startling everyone into stillness. "You have no idea what they're capable of." And just then, amidst the haze and the tension, the walls of the ballroom shuddered again. An inhumane roar drowned out all sound. A creature emerged from the shadows, its massive form hulking and feral, eyes glowing with unnatural hunger. "Run!" Lucas shouted, adrenaline blasting through them like lightning. The crowd broke into chaos, many fleeing toward the exits like it was the end of the world. But Lucas remained rooted as the truth hammered him. Everything he thought he knew about his family, about Clara, was crashing down, the weight suffocating. Clara's eyes locked with his, wide and fearful, uncertainty swirling. This creature was born from secrets they had no idea existed. And as they looked right back at each other, one thought loomed large. Would they survive the monstrous truth waiting to swallow them whole? As the creature loomed closer, Lucas felt the fear pulse in his veins, his instincts screaming at him to protect Clara. They had barely processed the shocking reveal of her sister, and now a threat was barreling toward them, forceful and primal. "Run!" Lucas yelled again, pushing Clara back, but she stood in shock, mouth agape as she locked eyes with their mother. The world around them blurred into a swirling chaos of panic. "No, I'm not leaving," Clara shouted, trembling, as the horrifying creature's gaze pinned them. A concentrated darkness amid the crowd's panic. Then it happened. The creature lunged, teeth bared and claws gleaming, and the room erupted in screams as people trampled each other in an effort to escape. But just as the creature seemed poised to strike, another explosion rocked the ballroom, this time from the opposite end. The ground shook like an earthquake, sending everyone sprawling. In the confusion, Between the cries and the chaos, a figure emerged from the shadows, gliding through the chaos almost effortlessly. With a speed so unnatural, she darted toward the creature. The others barely registered her presence, too consumed by fear to notice the glint of determination in her eyes. And then, with an elegance that was both beguiling and terrifying, the newcomer revealed a wand, a long, shimmering staff that sparkled with an ethereal light. The chaos hushed as she raised it high, voice steady and unwavering. "I command the darkness to release its hold." The creature recoiled, letting out a piercing roar that echoed throughout the ballroom. Everyone paused, enthralled and terrified. Clara's eyes widened even further as she whispered, "No, it can't be." "What?" Lucas asked, confusion streaking his face. But Clara didn't answer. Her gaze darted back and forth, mind racing through a kaleidoscope of memories. The newcomer, clearly powerful, sent a wave of energy cascading toward the beast, and in that pulse, the room flashed with light. The creature hesitated, then halted mid-lunge, as if struck by an invisible force. "Mom!" Clara gasped, breathless and unsteady. "It can't be." "What do you mean?" Lucas snapped, desperation gripping him. "Who is she?" A smile broke through the fear on Clara's face, a bright ember against the dark. "She's our mother. She's—" But Clara hesitated, eyes narrowing in confusion. "No, but that can't be." Suddenly, the heat of that vibrant energy spiraled through the room, forcing everyone backward as the creature let out another earth-shattering roar before collapsing to the ground in a heap, writhing in pain. In the eye of the storm, the newcomer lowered her staff, breathing heavily, her dark eyes flickering over to Lucas. "You didn't know, did you?" she said, voice laden with revelation. "You're not just a Collins. You're destined to become something more." "What the hell are you talking about?" Lucas demanded, dread pooling in his stomach as uncertainty gnawed at him. But Clara's expression shifted, her brows knitting together. "What do you mean, Mom?" she echoed, the mom hanging heavy, an unmoored word full of consequence. "Because," the woman whispered, stepping forward, "if I don't confide in you both now, we may all be lost. You, Lucas, you're part of the ancient line of guardians. And Clara, there's so much more to your family history than the Collins legacy. A secret veiled in darkness, entwined with your real heritage." Before they could wrap their minds around that bombshell, panic surged again. From the corners of the ballroom, figures began to emerge from the shadows, their faces obscured, but their intentions clear. They advanced, a swarm, eyes glinting with purpose and malice. "Leave now!" the newcomer shouted, but her warning was cut short as the masked figures lunged. "Something dark is coming for us all," Clara whispered, fear coursing through her. Suddenly, the very foundation of their lives began to tremble beneath the weight of secrets, hidden ties pulling tighter around them. Nothing was safe. And Lucas felt his heart race, every fiber of his being telling him this was only the beginning. As the chaos surged around them, the air crackled with tension. Lucas stood protectively in front of Clara, his heart drumming against his ribcage. The masked figures pressed closer, shadows swarming like a storm, but the sight of their mother, the woman from whom they had felt so much loss, electrified the room. "We can't stand here," Lucas shouted over the tumult, fear igniting every nerve in his body. "We need to get out." But before they could make a move, the newcomer, the woman claiming to be their mother, stepped forward, and the air hung heavy with her energy as her voice boomed once more. "Listen to me. There's a prophecy that binds us, that connects our fates in ways you can't understand." Her eyes blazed with urgency, yet the storm of chaos danced in the reflections. "Prophecy?" Clara whispered, bewilderment washing over her. Yes, their mother responded, a tear glistening down her cheek, fierce yet fragile. This world, it's not just ours. There are ancient forces at play, forces seeking to reclaim what was lost. Her voice trembled, each word unraveling deeper mysteries. "What do you mean?" Lucas pleaded, clutching Clara's hand tighter, their hearts thudding in sync. But before she could respond, the creature began to rise again, the power within it stirring, clawing at the ground, shaking the ballroom like a furious beast. "Run!" Melissa shouted, her eyes wide as panic crept in. Chaos erupted anew, the guests screaming, scrambling toward the exits like frightened sheep. And amidst it all, Lucas noticed Aiden stepping back slightly, a look of deep contemplation shadowing his face. Uncertainty creased his brow. Was this the family he had longed to protect, or something far worse? "I don't want to see you hurt!" Aiden screamed at Melissa. But then his gaze drifted to Clara and Lucas, panic surging anew. "There's something I haven't told you." "What is it?" Clara shouted. But before Aiden could speak, the moment fractured. The creature roared. And suddenly, without warning, it shifted its form, morphing from a ghastly beast into something almost human. A young man with dark, piercing eyes, standing at the forefront. Gasps filled the room, as the shadows peeled away like paper, revealing a face Lucas would recognize anywhere. "Max?" Lucas's voice broke through the shock. "What are you doing here? It's not what you think." Max's voice was frantic, intense with urgency. "You were never meant to find out this way." "What are you talking about?" Lucas demanded, dread creeping up his spine. "I'm part of this," Max shouted, and as those words sank in, everything shifted. For in that instant, the chaotic noise faded, and an eerie silence enveloped them. Lucas felt a chill run down his spine. "You're... what?" Max's face twisted with anguish, and the truth unfurled like a dark curse. "The Collins family. They're a front, a shield for a different reality. This isn't just about wealth or privilege. It's about power over the forces that seek to destroy our world." Lucas's mind raced, sinking further into confusion. "What forces?" "They want the relic," Max said, desperation churning in his gut. "The one tied to your mother, to you both. It's the key, but it's also a weapon, capable of unthinkable destruction." Shocked murmurs rolled through the crowd. All eyes were glued to Max, suspended in disbelief. Clara's breath hitched, anguish mingling with betrayal. "You knew? You've kept this from me? I thought I was protecting you. I had to keep you both away from the danger." Max's voice cracked, desperately reaching out to Clara. "But it's too late now." Before another word could be said, the creature lunged forward again, knocking against those deep revelations. It charged toward Lucas, breath hot and rancid. But then the newcomer, this powerful woman, swung her staff, the bright energy exploding in a flash, forcing the creature back once more. "Protect them," she screamed. "We cannot let it possess the truth." But suddenly, a light illuminated above, revealing a hidden doorway behind the stage. It flickered to life, beckoning with promises of safety compared to the horrors in the room. "There!" Lucas pointed, instinctively moving closer to Clara. Their connection deepened, but the fracture remained. The shadows closed again, dark stench wafting through the air. And within that looming terror, one lingering question burned bright. What sacrifices would they have to make to embrace the truth they weren't prepared to face? And as they charged toward the glow, families and friendships strained against the weight of what lay ahead, twisting fate into uncertainty. That doorway shined too soft in comparison to the nightmare urging behind them, and somewhere in the corners of their hearts, fear blossomed anew. As they sprinted toward the glowing doorway, panic surged through Lucas. Clara was still locked in disbelief, staring wide-eyed. "Now's not the time for questions. Lucas shouted, pulling Clara's hand tighter. "We have to move!" But just as they were about to dive for the safety of the light, the newcomer, their mother, let out a strangled scream. The words came tumbling out in a desperate gasp. "Wait! You can't go through!" "What?" Lucas spun back, confusion and urgency mixing as he felt Clara flinch beside him. "Why not? We can't stay here!" A look of anguish clouded their mother's features, dark secrets swirling in her eyes. "You don't understand. The doorway leads to the truth, but it isn't safe for you. You need to grasp the reality before..." Before she could finish, a powerful tremor rocked the ground beneath them. The chandeliers above crashed down in a shower of glass, splinters joining the chaos around them. Lucas ducked instinctively, his heart hammered as fragments sliced through the air. In the moment of silence that followed, panic broke out once again. Screams echoed, people scattered. But Lucas stayed focused on Clara. "Trust me, we need to go now." But as they turned, their mother's voice pierced through the chaos once more, cold and determined. "You are not who you think." "What do you mean?" Clara shouted, paralyzed by the weight of confusion and fear. But the moment spiraled downward into a deeper abyss. The masked figures closed in, shadows creeping closer as their mother stepped back. Darkness painted on her face. "You need to know the truth, Clara. You're not just my daughter. You're heir to something bigger, something powerful." Lucas felt a chill. Clara's eyes darted between him and their mother. "What are you talking about? Just tell me." Another shake rattled the floor, sending Lucas tumbling forward. As he regained his footing, he heard the sound of heavy footsteps echoing through the haze. A figure materialized from the shadows, familiar yet foreign. "Stop this, Mom!" Clara cried, desperately pointing at the figure. "Who is that?" It was one of the masked figures, now throwing off his hood to reveal himself. Lucas's stomach dropped. It was Josh, Clara's childhood friend, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and something darker. "Josh," Clara gasped, "what are you doing here?" But his expression twisted, revealing tension simmering beneath the surface. "You need to listen to her." He pointed at their mother. "Everything she's saying, it's true, but it's more complex than you can imagine." "Complex?" Lucas spat, every word tinged with frustration. "What is this place? What are you hiding?" But before anyone could respond, the creature was back, its growls resonating through the room. The whole scene became a whirlwind of flashing lights and deep animalistic sounds. Then something snapped. Clara took a step forward, words catching in her throat. "I am tired of all these lies." She faced their mother, voice shaking but powerful. "If there's a truth about me, you need to tell me now." "Your father," their mother said, voice trembling with raw emotion. Then, with the force of a thunderclap, a blast of energy surged from the doorway. A swirling vortex erupted, drawing them all toward its chaotic embrace. It felt like a hurricane of light and shadow. It swallowed everything whole. Time warped, and in the chaos, secrets began to unravel. Lucas felt the ground shift beneath him. Suddenly, he wasn't standing beside Clara anymore. He was pulled through the glowing doorway, the world spinning fast like they were falling through the sky. Darkness engulfed him for a heartbeat, but as light pierced through, it shattered everything he believed about himself, his family, and reality itself. He landed with a thud on cold, hard ground, the others beside him, but the landscape was not familiar at all. They were surrounded by twisted trees and flickering lights. The air smelled of rain, strange and electric. "Where are we?" Lucas whispered, confusion flooding him. His eyes found Clara's, but it wasn't just fear he saw in her gaze now, it was wonder. "What is happening?" she murmured, blinking rapidly. "It's not over," their mother warned, horror creeping into her tone. "You're in the realm of truth now. It's time to discover who you really are." And just like that, Everything slipped through their fingers. The ground trembled as whispers filled the air, making them question everything they knew. What had they unleashed? What truths awaited them here? As they stood in that eerie realm, the air buzzing with a strange energy, Lucas felt the weight of confusion pressing down on him. Clara's hand trembled in his, eyes darting around as if searching for something, an answer, a sign, anything to hold on to. Their mother stood firm, her gaze piercing, filled with a mix of urgency and sorrow. "Listen closely," she said, her voice barely rising above the hum of the strange lights surrounding them. "You have to understand that this world—" But before she could finish her thought, a shadow flitted through the trees, dark and swift. It sent a chill racing down Lucas's spine. "What was that?" he breathed, instinctively stepping closer to Clara. The shadow stopped suddenly. Light poured from it, revealing a young girl. She looked no older than 10, skin glowing, with tangled curls escaping from beneath a small hood. Her eyes sparkled with an uncanny brightness, a sharp contrast to the dim world around them. "They're here!" the girl shouted, breathless. "You must go before they find you." "Who are you?" Clara's voice quivered, the raw uncertainty palpable in the air. "That doesn't matter. You must hurry." The girl glanced over her shoulder, wild fear painting her features. "They'll come for you all. A reckoning is upon us." "Wait!" Lucas called out, but the girl spun away, sprinting into the depths of the shadowy woods. A moment later, an unseen force surged from behind, and the ground rumbled. Lucas stumbled, catching Clara just in time to keep her from falling. "Something's coming," he shouted, heart racing. The stillness shattered as heavy footsteps echoed from all corners of the realm, a sinister thrum that rattled their bones. "We need to find shelter," his mother urged, urgency thick in her voice. But another voice pierced through the darkness. "There's no escaping." A figure emerged, Aiden, eyes ablaze, standing rigid with accusation. "You've led us into a trap." "What?" Clara gasped, shock growing into anger. "After everything we just went through, why would you say that?" "Because you don't understand," Aiden declared, pacing sharply. "You think you're special? You think there's some prophecy about your greatness? You're a pawn in this game, part of a much darker plan." "Pawn?" Lucas echoed, confusion thickening in his throat. "That's right," Aiden sneered, darkness pooling in his eyes. "You're just as much of a target. This isn't about protecting you. It's about controlling you." "No," Clara cried out, hurt flashing across her face. "You're wrong." Just then, the ground shook violently again, and from the underbrush, figures began to emerge, dark figures with elongated limbs, eyes glowing in the haze as they crept closer. Panic surged as they closed in. But one figure stepped forward from the shadows, a tall presence, and as he stepped into the light, Lucas's heart dropped. It was an older version of himself, tattered clothes, haunted eyes, yet unmistakably him, radiating a dark aura. "You should have never come here," the older Lucas said, voice deep and sorrowful. "You'll lose everything." What are you?" Lucas stammered, throat tight with disbelief. "The future," the older Lucas replied coldly, "and it's not pretty." In an instant, all the things he thought he knew began to unravel. Clara's face went pale, eyes wide with horror. "Lucas, is that you?" "No," the older Lucas shouted, panic flooding his own eyes. "This isn't who I am. You can't allow this to happen." But words were lost as the night grew heavier, the shadows closing in, suffocating the air between them. Rage boiled up within Aiden. "You've set this all in motion. You will betray us." And suddenly the ground split open beneath them. On that precipice, Lucas realized the terrible truth. He wasn't simply linked to this darkness. He was the key, and the shadows weren't just after him. They were here to claim him. Just before the abyss swallowed them all, a scream pierced through the chaos. "You have to choose!" The girl's voice echoed back as everything collapsed into a whirl of light and darkness, leaving Lucas gasping, battling the tempest of what was real and what was not. As the ground trembled beneath them, Lucas felt a surge of panic gripping his chest. The revelation from the older version of himself lingered in the air. Clara's eyes reflected fear and confusion, searching for answers that only seemed to multiply. "What do we do?" she whispered, voice trembling. "Stay close," Lucas urged, squeezing her hand. "We can't let them take us." The shadows neared, dark figures shifting through the mist, a haunting aspect of the world they had entered. "We have to confront this," Clara said, determination rising in her. "We need to understand why we're here." Just then, the ground rumbled again, and the masked figures emerged, circling them like predators closing in for the kill. "You've disturbed the balance," one of them shouted, venom lacing their tone. "You don't belong here." Lucas felt the world shift beneath him, confusion and panic colliding. "We're here because we have to find out the truth," he countered, fire in his voice. "You're too late," Aiden's harsh voice rang out, straining against the approaching danger. "You can't grasp what's unfolding." As shadows moved, swirling around them, a brilliant light pierced through the dark. It was their mother, her staff glowing, energy crackling as she shouted, "Stand with me, we can end this." With eyes wide, Clara moved forward, her spirit ignited. "We won't back down." The clash of shadows swelled, swirling toward them. The ground shook, and lips parted in silent screams, panic palpable as the creatures lunged. But just then, unfathomable power erupted from their mother, drawing forth the light. It collided with the darkness, igniting the air between them. "Now!" Lucas shouted, heart racing, hand on Clara's arm. Together, just as the masked figures pressed closer, they felt the connection pulse between them, a bond forged in truth and defiance. Energy surged, spiraling into a wave, echoing into the night. Shadows twisted and writhed, struggling against their resolve. "Believe," their mother cried, voice echoing with raw power. In that moment of blind courage, a blinding flash enveloped them, shattering the illusions surrounding their fear. The shadows screamed, echoing into the void. And then silence. That dense, heavy silence hung so still around them. Slowly, they opened their eyes. The realm shimmered and swayed, revealing a newfound clarity. Shadows faded, light filtering through the darkness, dialed back to the world they knew. "Are we back?" Clara whispered, shaking, but a light twinkled in her eyes. "Yes," their mother said, eyes glossy with tears. "You've broken the cycle." Lucas felt a weight lift, but an unease remained. "But what about you?" he asked, heart heavy. "I will always be with you," she replied, voice thick with emotion. They stood there, tangled in the weight of their shared truths, breathing in the freedom they fought so hard to reclaim. A pact sealed with love and defiance. And though the shadows would always be there, they had learned to harness the light. As they stepped back, hand in hand, they didn't need to look back. The past hung behind them, a tapestry woven with pain and triumph, but also hope. "Lucas, Clara," their mother said softly, "the road ahead will be challenging, but you're never alone." Lucas took a deep breath and smiled. He finally felt hope, like a horizon just breaking. "Together," Clara murmured, squeezing his hand tight, both of them staring into the vast unknown. A whirlwind of future possibilities awaited them just beyond the shadows. And that was when they knew. The fight for their truth would continue, but it would be a journey worth taking. Now, if you enjoyed this wild ride, you need to subscribe immediately. Don't wait 1 second more. Smash that like button now to help boost the algorithm, and flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Your support means everything. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to know how this all turned out. True fans know the importance of backing this channel. Let's keep the adventure alive together.